See how many creators I have to push back against? Every single day. Another desperate TikTok with some random nobody hating on Megan. Like it's a job. And I'm supposed to be quiet? Nah. Because the amount of hate Megan gets is absolutely unhinged. And for what? What has she done to them? Nothing. They don't know her. They've never met her. But somehow they have a dissertation on why they don't like her. Be fucking serious. The majority of hate she gets is based on nothing but tabloid lies. Lies written to provoke, to bait, to make you click. And the fact that they believe it, the fact that they take it as truth, without an ounce of critical thinking, that makes them weak-minded. They're not in the know. They're not informed. They're being spoon-fed garbage and calling it a meal. Meanwhile, the people cashing the checks, they don't care if it's true. They just care that it trends. And the haters are out here pushing their agenda for free. And let's address the most tired excuse of all. If she wants privacy, why is she everywhere? Be for fucking real. Megan doesn't control the press coverage. The press does. The tabloids write about her constantly because they know she's global. She makes headlines. She drives clicks. She makes them money. So if you're sick of seeing her, then take it up with the media outlets that can't go a week without using her name for engagement. Not the woman just trying to live her damn life. And while we're here, when I see women leading the smear campaign, that's when it's really the most disappointing. That's exactly why it's so hard for women to get ahead. Because too many women are conditioned to tear each other down. They're not critiquing. They're not exposing the truth. They're just another woman with a grudge against another woman. And it's giving patriarchy's little helper. And for the men who make Megan hate content, it's pathetic. It's not journalism. It's not just asking questions. It's fucking misogyny. You're threatened by a woman who speaks with confidence, walks with power, and doesn't need your validation. And it shows. Let's make it real simple. If you say you hate Meghan Markle, and you don't know her personally, there are only 3 reasons why. 1, you're racist. 2, you're misogynist. 3, all of the above. There is no legitimate reason to hate a woman you've never met, unless you've internalized some serious hate yourself. Bad vibes? Grow up. She's not authentic? Define authentic. Is it white, quiet, and obedient? Because that's what it's starting to sound like. She's not relatable? Because she's not one of you? She doesn't walk, talk the way you want her to? Then maybe you're the kind of person who thinks a woman needs to know her place. This isn't about royal protocol. This isn't about candles or tiaras or titles. This is about a biracial woman who married into whiteness and refused to disappear. And that, for a lot of you, is unforgivable. Well, guess what? She's not going anywhere, and neither am I. Copycat Kate is at it again. So let's talk about the real Wimbledon 2025 moment. And no, it wasn't the match. It was Wadey Katie's sudden obsession with stacked rings out of nowhere. She shows up with her sapphire engagement ring, her wedding band, plus 2 eternity rings all layered together. And no, we're not calling it iconic, not even groundbreaking. Because baby, Megan's been doing that for years. This is the same Megan they all love to hate. The one they said was too Hollywood for the royal family. The one they dragged for her minimalist jewelry and stacked bands since 2018. But the moment Kate copies it, it's royal elegance. Get the fuck out of here. And let's go deeper. Duchess Doolittle didn't just wake up one day with a new sense of style. Her longtime stylist, Natasha Archer, who's basically the Duchess of Dupe at this point, was caught following Meghan and all of Meghan's close friends on Instagram. That's not coincidence. That's research. That's a whole mood board. That's copy and paste. And before Meghan haters get into their feelings, yes, we're saying it. Kate's entire aesthetic is a Meghan remix. From the ring stacks to the sleek neutrals to the effortless silhouettes, it's all been done. Meghan walked so Kate could rebrand. But the haters won't admit it because it shatters the little fantasy they've built. That Meghan was the misfit, that she didn't belong, that she had no style, no class, no grace, and yet somehow Copycat Kate keeps taking notes. So here's your royal reality check. Meghan was never the problem. She was the blueprint. And what you're seeing in Wadey Katie is just a paler imitation. So, Billy Idol, you know, the Prince of PTO, work shy Willie, his royal no-show, decided to skip out on the D-Day commemorations. And now, even Princess Anne, the firm's most loyal foot soldier, is officially over it. When she's annoyed, you've lost the last ally who ever respected you. Let's break this down. William didn't miss just any engagement. He ghosted one of the most important military events in modern history. While veterans stood at attention, heads of state paid tribute, and Princess Anne handled the weight of it all. Billy was MIA, probably on his 6th wellness break of the year, or hiding behind a tree at Sandringham. And the excuse? He wasn't scheduled. Oh, please. The future king doesn't need a schedule. The job is the schedule. Billy made a career out of dodging responsibility while playing dress up for glossy photos. The only throne he's ever truly committed to is the ergonomic office chair in his private study. Perfect for sending out one email a week and tapping out for rest and reflection. Meanwhile, Princess Anne, 73 years old and still sharper than the rest of them combined, is forced to carry his dead weight. And for the first time, even she's done cleaning up after him. You know it's bad when the family human workhorse is looking at Billy like, get your ass up and do something. But where's the media outrage? Where are the screaming headlines? Where's the moral panic? Crickets. Because the UK press only finds a spine when it's time to scold someone whose name isn't Windsor. When William disappears, they call it grace under pressure. When he skips out, it's private family time. He could call in sick to his own coronation, and they'd still find a way to blame pollen. But here's the part I love. Now that they don't have Harry and Meghan to scapegoat, the knives are turning inwards. The firm is eating itself alive. You can only project so long before the cracks start showing. And now, William is being exposed for what he really is. Lazy, entitled, unimpressive, and most of all, a liability. The dog finally caught the car, and now they're realizing the perfect future king can't even show up for the bare minimum. You know what just hit me? I was scrolling through Emily's posts, and if you know, you know, and a few others, and something clicked. What we love about Meghan, it's not just the style, or the grace, or the success. It's the wholesomeness. There's a lightness in her, a softness that still holds so much power. And for those of us who've been through it, who've had to fight to keep our peace, that matters. It resonates, because we're always looking for the light. We're drawn to kindness, to generosity, to something good. And Meghan gives us that. In a world that constantly wants us to be cynical and numb, she reminds us there's still beauty in being genuine. And that's why this community exists. That's why we find each other. We're not bonded by hate. We're bonded by love. And then you look at the haters, the trolls, the bitter blogs, the YouTube channels scraping for views. It's all so dark, so jaded, so joyless. You can feel the emptiness in their content. There's no light there, just resentment. So maybe that's the real divide. Some of us choose to root for love, and others, they only know how to tear down. But don't get it twisted. Yes, I look for the light. I love the light, but I'm also a Gemini. I will flip and show you my dark side real quick if you push me. So keep it cute, because I will always choose the light, but I'm not afraid of the shadows.
Here's why I hate Meghan Markle and why I suspect most of us do. And by most of us, I mean women.
You mean white women. Because I know plenty of women who love her. But you sat in front of that camera, in your carefully casual sweatshirt, with your bookshelf backdrop, AirPods in, trying to give thoughtful women just reflecting. It wasn't thoughtful. It wasn't reflective. It was a calculated attempt to dress up resentment as intellect. You weren't seeking truth. You were just looking for a more palatable way to hate on a woman who's done nothing to you, except refuse to be small. 5. Her authenticity feels curated. Curated compared to what exactly? You don't get to define authenticity when your entire setup was clearly staged to look effortless. You wore makeup. You picked a flattering angle. You framed yourself in front of books and had the nerve to say she was the one performing? Let me ask you directly. What is your definition of authenticity? Can you even answer that without centering yourself in it? Is it tears? Is it chaos? Is it softness? Is it poverty? Is it the color of her skin? Does a woman have to fall apart in a way that mirrors you before you believe she's being real? Because from where I'm sitting, you've decided that poise is manipulation, that calm is deception, that survival must look like collapse, or it doesn't count. Let's be honest, you don't want authenticity. You want emotional labor. You want performance of pain. You want Meghan to fall apart in public, just so you feel validated in your doubt. But she doesn't. She stays calm, clear, focused. And because you can't relate to her version of survival, you call it fake. But here's the truth. Your definition of authenticity is entirely centered around you. If she doesn't move like you, speak like you, look like you don't recognize her humanity. You label it as inauthentic. That's not critique. That's lack of range. 4. She uses the victim narrative. She is the victim. She was stalked, harassed, lied about, racially abused by the press. She was subjected to more global scrutiny than any woman in that family because she dared to be visible and different. She told the truth about her experience, and you decided it was strategy. Not because it wasn't real, but because she said it in a way that didn't make you feel comfortable. You're not confused by her. You're just uncomfortable with a woman who refused to be destroyed for your empathy. 3. She left the crown but still wants the title. She didn't leave the crown and keep the title. She walked away from the entire institution. The HRH, the security, the palace, the staff, the senior role, everything. She left completely. And the use of Sussex as a surname? That's standard royal protocol. Prince William and Prince Harry went by Wales growing up because their father was the Prince of Wales. Now Harry's kids use Sussex. And Prince George? He goes by George Wales in school. It's not branding, it's convention. And again, you'd know that if you cared enough to check. Google is free. You're not interested in facts. You're invested in spin. You claim she clings to the monarchy, but you're the one who keeps invoking it. You don't want her to let go. You want her erased. 2. She's a brand. Yes, she is. Because when people like you try to rip someone apart daily, having a brand isn't vanity. It's defense. It's called protecting your name when the world tries to assign you one. And let's be clear. Beyonce is a brand. Michelle Obama is a brand. Taylor Swift is a brand. Serena Williams is a brand. Women in the public eye are always a brand because they have to be. 1. She's not one of us. Say what you mean. She's not white. That's what you're really getting at. She doesn't move through the world with the same inherited grace you recognize. She doesn't cater to your expectations of meekness, humility, or apologetic success. She's not one of us because she's not small. She's not grateful for scraps. And she's not interested in belonging to a group that would gatekeep worthiness based on palatability. You want her to blend in. She chose to stand out. And that's why you're spiraling. Desperately trying to justify hatred that isn't rooted in facts, but discomfort. You say, she's not one of us. You're right. She's better. And this idea of not one of us completely aligns with your brand of politics. Imagine your daughter, your granddaughter, your niece, your little sister walks into school and you raised her to be confident, smart, well-spoken, and a group of girls decides to tear her apart for it. They call her fake. They whisper that she thinks she's better. They isolate her, scrutinize everything she says, everything she wears, everything she is, not because of what she's done, but because of how she carries herself. And she comes home in tears and asks you, why do they hate me? Would you say, well, sweetie, maybe they're confused by how polished you are. Maybe tone it down. No. We know the truth. You'd call it bullying. You'd call it cruel. Because it is. So, explain to me, why can't you recognize when you're the one doing it? You're not offering perspective. You're not making a point. You're not helping other women. You're just masking contempt with calm tones and a soft camera filter. You are the bully. You are the problem. And if your own daughter ever met a woman like you, you'd be horrified.
Well, I finally managed to get my hands on a bottle of Meghan's, as ever, rosé wine, and I'm going to try it for you now. Oh, it's sort of sweet at first, and then it leaves this sort of bitter, metallic aftertaste. It's a bit like Meghan herself, really.
Richard Eden drank Megan's wine on camera and still thought we'd take him seriously. No, really. Let's talk about this level of desperation. He actually said it was sweet at first, then bitter and metallic, like Megan herself. That's not a review. That's projection. That's years of unprocessed obsession being spit into a wine glass with zero self-awareness. And let's talk about the bottle. It was already half empty before he pressed record. So you drank half the bottle, then turned to your camera to pretend it was disgusting. Make it make sense. If it was that bad, why didn't you stop at one sip? Why is it half gone, Richard? Were you rehearsing your slander while polishing off your second glass? What we witnessed wasn't wine tasting. It was a man so dependent on Megan for relevance that he's now performing unpaid PR in the kitchen, trying to pass it off as critique. Richard, you spent years obsessing over her, writing the same bitter think pieces, recycling the same talking points. And now you're sipping her rosé, swearing you're above it, but still showing up every single time. And here's the real kicker. The New York Post, a publication that was never kind to Megan, ran a blind taste test with actual sommeliers. No labels, no context, just the wine. And hers was picked best in the group. That's called taste. That's called objectivity. Two things you've never possessed. So let's be clear. Richard Eden didn't review the wine. He played to his audience. He drank half the bottle and hit record like he hadn't been gulping it in secret for the past hour. That's not critique. That's damage control for a man who realized he liked it too much and panicked. You claim she's unbearable, yet everything about you, your career, your relevance, your talking points, depends on her existence. You're not a journalist, Richard. You're a Megan groupie in denial. A background character who keeps trying to force himself into the plot. And the performance? Girl, please. You were serving community theater understudy with a sinus infection. Flat. Awkward. Forced. It wasn't giving sophisticated. It wasn't giving witty. It was giving should have stayed off camera. That fake sneer, that dramatic pause. You're not a sommelier. You're not a critic. And sweetie, you're not an actor. Your taste level is non-existent. In wine, in delivery, in basic self-awareness. Every second of that video was crying for attention, dressed in a bad suit and worse lighting. That bottle wasn't half empty. It was a mirror. And what stared back wasn't Megan. It was a bitter, irrelevant man in a clearance rack blazer, desperate for a headline, desperate for attention, and absolutely drowning in his own mediocrity. Swirl, sip, shrivel, disappear.
Meghan Markle, yeah. Meghan Markle, a great person who apparently says, if you remember, well, the only thing I'd like people to do is tell the truth about me. Trust me, sister, if there's one thing you wouldn't want them to do, it is to tell the truth about you. And it's interesting because now, according to that source, she's having something of a crisis of confidence. What can it be about? Meghan Markle, you may have noticed, has gone a dab quiet on the land of social media. Yes, ever since she launched that wine, well, the wine that apparently, listen, let's be blunt. One of the tabloid newspapers did a review and said it was dire. Now, here's the problem about the social media stuff, because as I said, when she put the wine up recently, she couldn't even get the sound right, apparently, of the wine being poured. Now, this is because she fired a social media manager. And according to the source who's currently still working there, Meghan's having a crisis of confidence. And this is all really about what to post, because the people online are pulling and picking apart what she's doing. Now, as I said, I'm not a genius at social media, so I'm not quite sure. I'm not interested in expensive fruit platters and somebody smelling sweet bluebells and stuff. You know, it's all a bit contrived.
Neil Sean, please log off before the sun finishes melting your scalp. Why does Neil Sean look like an off-brand Annabelle doll that was left in the microwave? You're standing in the middle of a hedge maze, looking like a rejected wax figure from Madame Tussauds, rambling about Megan's crisis of confidence. And we're supposed to take you seriously? Sir, your tie is working harder than your credibility. Let's get a few things straight. Megan's not in crisis. She's curating a brand. That baby mama dance? Viral. That launch video? Cinematic. Her team understands the aesthetics, time, tone, and restraint. You, on the other hand, are out here filming conspiracy theories on a Motorola Razr with the energy of a confused substitute teacher who just discovered TikTok. You keep throwing around the phrase, according to sources. Honey, what sources? The same ones who told you she was relaunching the TIG in 2022? Or the same intern at a failed tabloid who now sends you scraps for a shout out? Be for fucking real. You have as much access to Megan's inner circle as I have to the Queen's embalming fluid. And let's talk about wine. You tried to paint it as a flop. Meanwhile, the New York Post, a known Meghan critic, held a blind tasting, and Meghan's As Ever Rosé beat out wines from Brad Pitt, Cameron Diaz, and Sarah Jessica Parker. You know who judged it? Actual accredited sommeliers. Not you sipping elderflower tonic water and pretending it's vintage Viv. And while we're here, Meghan didn't fire her social media manager, but let's pretend she did. Because even on her worst day, her digital presence is more elegant, more strategic, and more effective than anything you've ever published. Your thumbnails look like rejected real estate ads. Her page? Vogue ready. Oh, and before you start giving advice, let's not forget why you're no longer welcome in actual newsrooms. You were reportedly fired from the Sunday Press after nude photos of you surfaced online. Nude photos. I don't know why anyone would want to see those. I would only assume it was a science experiment. So here's my advice, Neil. Retire. Close the MacBook. Give your overworked blazer a rest. And maybe, just maybe, invest in some SPF before doing another outdoor shoot. Because at this point, the only thing more fried than your scalp is your reputation. So Lord Voldemort has finally decided to pencil in some royal duty. And surprise, surprise, it's a football match. The only thing this man consistently shows up for are football matches and luxury vacations. Everything else? Missed, postponed, or conveniently delegated. Let's talk facts. He's on his 6th vacation in 7 months. He just skipped the D-Day commemoration. You know, the one honoring veterans who fought for his grandmother's legacy. And now, even Princess Anne is fed up with his absence. The monarchy is rotting from the inside out. While William is stretched out on a yacht in Greece, like he's auditioning for a Rich Kids of Mykonos reboot. But now that the Lionesses are in the Euro final, now he remembers he's the FA president. Give us a break. This isn't duty. This is about camera time. He's allergic to responsibility, but addicted to applause. And if there's a stadium, a trophy, or a curated photo op, Lord Voldemort is suddenly booked and busy. He doesn't show up for veterans. We know Harry would. He doesn't show up for the Commonwealth. He doesn't even show up for his own nation's biggest historic anniversaries. And yet, we're supposed to believe this man is the future of the monarchy? This is exactly why the rumor mills are buzzing. That King Charles might actually want Meghan and Harry back. Because they're the only ones doing real work. While willy-nilly is MIA, and treating duty like a buffet option, the Sussexes built global platforms, drove massive charitable engagement, and even helped restart communications between the monarchy and the family. Behind closed doors, Charles is reportedly exploring ways to reinstall them. Especially with his health concerns and mournful tears, the palace lacks genuine purpose without their presence. In short, you've got one brother who wakes up for photo ops and vacays, and another who gets shit done. And the king knows it, and the British people know it. The result? A palace strategy pivot in real time. And if the throne is going to mean anything in the 21st century, it might hinge on bringing real workers back into the family fold.